And you are here in Romania with a purpose. What will be the news that you could give us about your system that already Romania had? What will be the news for us?
Well, I think first of all, we're just honored to serve the Romanian military. In the air defense mission, we've already provided one Patriot fire unit that's in use today here in Romania, and there have been 3 additional fire units delivered, and we're in the middle of integration and checkout of those 3 systems, and then the Romanian military will use those later this year for a large integration and training exercise. So that program's gone extremely well, and it provides, really a tremendous foundation of air defense capability for the defense of Romania. In addition to that, we've talked about future programs. So, Patriot provides medium to long range air defense capability. And today, meeting with Romanian government officials and industry, we've talked about short to medium range system called NASAMS, and our focus on offering that to Romania for short and medium range air defense needs.
So we'll talk later about NASAMS, but I want to know about Patriot. So we have right now 4 of them for battery in Romania, and there are 3 more to come. When we'll have them?
So the Romanian government requested 3 additional fire units from the United States. We expect the United States to offer those to the Romanian government in the next couple months. So we're hearing, sometime around October. And then it'll be about 3 years from October that they'd then be delivered to the Romanian government.
Mm-hmm. And Patriot defense system is just for defense, or it could be used on attack some points, or some missiles, or some plane, or some army?
Yeah, so Patriot is a purely defensive system. It's an integrated air and missile defense system, and it deals with a wide variety of threats that the adversary may pose to the Romanian military. So tactical ballistic missiles, hostile aircraft, high-speed maneuvering cruise missiles, and a wide range of unmanned aerial systems, or UAS, or drones, as they're sometimes called. So all of those threats Patriot will deal with, and maybe more importantly, Patriot deals with them as the adversary presents all of them at the same time. So what we call a large raid scenario, where multiple threats are presented to deal with at the same time.
There is a war in Ukraine, and we know that Patriot is used in Ukraine for some months already. Do you collect some data, and what kind of data do you collect there, and to improve Patriot system, of course?
Right. So, including Ukraine, Patriot is used by 19 countries in the world. Each of those countries will, from time to time, provide data back to Raytheon and the United States Army, who obviously, sponsors Patriot for the United States. We take that data, analyze threat data and other data about maybe the environment, and then we use that to constantly improve the system. So we update the software, we make hardware modernization, so you always have the latest technology in the system. Mm-hmm. And then through regular updates of the software and the threat databases, those are then offered to all the 19 countries that use the system to ensure that it's the very latest and greatest capability to defeat the threat.
Could you give me an example of data that is very you could collect from the war and used to improve Patriot defense system? Yeah.
So, if one of our customers, was involved in, tracking and defeating a particular threat that an adversary has, launched against them, then we would essentially take that threat data and incorporate it into the system so that the system had a better idea of what that threat was going to do before the mission to better deal with it when it actually sees it again in the future.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell me about the success rate of the Patriot system? Because we saw Ukrainians are using them to defend their cities. Kiev is defending by Patriot. But also we see that Russian still managed to hit some points, some cities, even near to Romania. There is some information. There are some informations about success rate of Patriot system.
Yeah, so I don't want to get into any specific numbers, but what I can tell you is through our interaction with the Ukrainian air defenders and through the United States Army, that the Ukrainian air defenders are extremely satisfied with the effectiveness of Patriot. It's been very, very successful in terms of defending the areas that it defends. When you look at a place like Ukraine or any other kind of large country, you need to have coverage of the whole area if you want to defend against everything. And I don't want to get into the specifics, but what I could say is that currently Ukraine has just a couple of Patriot fire units, and so what it defends is relatively limited. Mm-hmm.
You said that we will have 7 battery of Patriot in Romania. So for us to understand, how large, how percentage of Romania will be in the area of defending of the Patriot system? Could we understand in that picture to understand if we are in a good defense about this system?
Yeah, well, what I could say is that what we call a defense design was conducted by the Romanian government with assistance from the United States government, and so that defense design basically dealt with the assets that the Romanian government wants to protect, and they came up with a solution for 7 fire units. In addition to Patriot, what Romania is on a path to do is to create a layering of air defense capability. So as I said, Patriot is a medium to long range air defense capability. Below that, they would have a short to medium range capability, and then even below that, a very short range and counter UAS capability. So when you take all of that together, the Romanian government is trying to obviously maximize the coverage, of defending all of Romania.
It's a very interesting information you give to us. So we have the coverage of all Romania. We will have when we will have this system, defending system like Patriot, and you say about NSM, will cover all Romania.
Well, what I said was that the defense design, I'm sure, has the objective of covering as much of the country as practically possible.
Okay, and of course, country that had Patriot will not hit, let's say, a drone with a missile, Patriot missile, because it costs a lot. I understand how much is a missile of Patriot.
Yeah, so think about a Patriot missile costing several $1 million. What you're trying to do when you're doing air defense, obviously the primary mission is to defend the people and the country assets. But you also want to do it in a smart way. And there's a term that's used in the defense world called cost exchange ratio. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to ensure that you save your high value Patriot interceptors to defeat high value expensive threats.
Like a plane?
Like a very expensive bomber or a very expensive tactical ballistic missile. And for things like drones or UAS, you'd like to use something that's just as effective for that class of threat, but much less expensive. So, for instance, in the UAS world, we have a product called Coyote, a relatively inexpensive UAS itself, but its purpose is to counter UASs from an adversary. We also have directed energy weapons like lasers that are very effective for small drones.
And they are used in Ukraine right now, or you don't know about that?
I don't know if they're being used in Ukraine or not.
What about NSM or NASAMS, some different defense systems that you are manufactured? We could use it in Romania, or we are now purchasing them. What is the topic right now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, you know, our understanding is that the Romanian government is looking at a short to medium range air defense system. Our offering in that class of air defense systems is NASAMS, the National Advanced Surface to Air Missile System. That system is also currently being used quite effectively in Ukraine, and it's being used by 13 countries around the world. So a very effective system against tactical aircraft, against cruise missiles, and against UAS. As we look at NASAMS, there's lots of great advantages of using NASAMS here in Romania. You know, first of all, you know, creating interoperability with Patriot, so you can coordinate your air defense capabilities between Patriot and NASAMS. So you can do things like selecting the appropriate effector for that cost exchange ratio that I talked about. Another primary benefit of NASAMS is the missiles that it uses are the AMRAAM missile and the Sidewinder AIM-9X missile. Those missiles are also used for air-to-air combat. So the Romanian Air Force is already has those missiles in inventory, and they're actively procuring additional missiles for air-to-air combat. So so those missiles being used in NASAMS for ground-based air defense gives the Romanian military the flexibility to use those missiles in either application. So they can shift from the Air Force to ground-based air defense, or vice versa, depending upon what the mission needs require. And then, you know, the very nature that NASAMS is used by so many members of NATO, much like Patriot, it gives the ability for the NATO coalition to have interchangeability of both munitions and spare parts and trained soldiers. So it really provides a really effective solution for all of the NATO countries.
And Romania is interested in NASAMS, or we are just want to buy it? What is the discussion right now between your company and our government?
Yeah, so the Romanian government is still, I think, working through the requirement for that short to medium range capability. We recognize that there are competitors out there. We are very confident in NASAM's proven track record, probably the most effective short to medium range system in the world, and I'm sure the Romanian government will be moving forward with some sort of procurement, and will participate in that, both from the perspective of the great capabilities that I've already described, as well as a focus on industrial participation, expanding the presence we already have here in Romania beyond to include some of the things that we provide in NASAMS.
How is Romania doing with the manufacturing of SkyCeptor? We are dealing with that. We are participated in that. How is Romania doing?
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, Raytheon Electromechanica signed, a letter of intent to go and focus on, the potential to bring SkyCeptor here. We're continuing, that dialogue with Electromechanica and the Ministry of Economy. What I can tell you is it's going extremely well. We are working through detailed plans for the build out of a facility at Electromechanica. We're working through the training of workforce, the transfer of tooling and test equipment, so it's going extremely well. And then we're also working through the various government channels to put the licensing in place so that we can do the assembly of the SkyCeptor missile here in Romania, and then offer it to the 19 countries that use Patriot today.
Mm-hmm. Also, how we discussed already, in Ukraine is using artificial intelligence. Does right now artificial intelligence decide who will kill or not?
Well, artificial intelligence is a very broad topic, and I'm a computer science trained person, going back to the 80s. And what I can tell you is, going all the way back to the 80s, artificial intelligence techniques have been used in the algorithms for a variety of systems, including air defense systems. What I would say is that they're very narrowly focused on the specifics of the air defense mission, and in terms of talking about that particular mission, and really don't have that sort of kind of broad learning capability to go beyond their intended purposes.
Yeah. How you will describe the effectiveness of Russian missiles? Because Patriots are defending right now Ukraine. So Russian army is the second army in the world. How do you think about that? What do you think about
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, our feedback from the Ukrainian Air Defense Force has been all positive, that, what they've used Patriot for, they've been very successful with. Likewise with NASAMS. So, again, I can't get into any specific, numbers or anything like that, but it's been highly effective, and we're very proud to be able to serve the Ukrainian people.
My question, it was more like about Russian missiles. Your Patriot still take down every Russian missiles right now in Ukraine. I understand correct?
Well, like I said, I can only tell you what I've heard from the Ukrainians, and that they've been very satisfied with the system, and for everything they've tried to use it for, it's been very successful.
Mm-hmm. And you said also about the you collecting data, and that's good for your system. And there are people that are saying that war is very profitable for company that are manufacturing war machines or system or weapon. What will be your answer for that people who are thinking that this war is like more for company that are in this business?
Yeah, well, what I'd say is that the systems that we produce are clearly made to be deterrents to war. So the best thing that we can do is create a capability that prevents war, and that's what we ultimately try to do. Now, if unfortunately war breaks out, then these systems really have to work. I mean, their intended purpose is to save lives, and as I've said, that we're quite proud of the performance of our systems in Ukraine and other places around the world. And so, if we're getting additional business from that, it's essentially unfortunate, right? Because that means that there's war that's occurring, mm-hmm. And we're not really thinking about it through a profitability lens, right? We're thinking about it in terms of supporting our customers when they most need our support, and that's what we're focused on.
And my last question will be about NSM, naval system. I understand that Romania already interested in and use it. What is your information about that? So
the Naval Strike Missile, NSM, my understanding is that the Romanian government, went through the FMS process to procure that. Raytheon and our partner Kongsberg Aerospace and Defense were put on contract in January of this year to build that capability. So we're actively...
In January, and when we will have it?
It's on the order of 3 years, so somewhere around 2026 is my understanding in terms of when the...
And how many?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.